Hello guys, and welcome to another video on the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about farm structures and their uses. Farm structures are any facilities built on a farm to help with agricultural operations. They serve various functions, from housing livestock and storing crops to providing shelter for machinery and a workspace for processing produce. Now, we are going to be talking about some common farm structures and their uses, but I have gone ahead to subdivide them into four categories. We are going to be talking about storage structures, we are going to be talking about livestock structures, we are going to be talking about production structures, also utility and processing structures. So let's talk about storage structures. Okay, these are crucial for preserving harvested crops and feed, protecting them from pests, moisture, and spoilage. So they are essentially used for preserving harvested crops. So if you've harvested your crops, let's say you harvested maize, you have to store them. Where do you store them? They are stored in storage structures, and there are different storage structures, and I'm going to be going ahead to kind of tell you more about them. And the first storage structure is what we call a silo. Okay, it's what we call silos. Now silos, these are tall, this is an example of silos. Okay, they are tall cylindrical structures typically made of concrete or metal. So in this case, you can see here, this one is made of metal. So what are they used for? They are used for large scale long-term storage of bulk materials. So if, for instance, you want to store grains, you want to store maize or rice, wheat, okay, they are used to store grains, you understand me? And they also used to store fermented forage known as silage, which is used to feed livestock. Okay, that's used to store what I said. They are used to store grains, and they also used to store what we call silage. What are silage? Silage are known as fermented forage. This is it. These are fermented forage that are used to feed livestock. So those are what you use silos for, and like I said, they are under what? The storage structures. The next solid storage structure is what we call barns. Barns, okay? Barns are multi-purpose buildings. They are multi-purpose buildings. What are they used for? They are used to shelter livestock. Okay, they're also essential for storing hay. Okay, you understand me? Now let me come again. Like I said, barns. I didn't spell that correctly. Let's spell it correctly so you can see it right here. Barns. Okay, barns are multi-purpose buildings. Now, traditionally, they were used to, to shelter livestock. They are also essential for storing hay. They are also essential for storing grain and other feed. So barns can also be used to store farm machinery, serve as a workshop, or provide a covered space for processing crops. They have multi purposes. Okay, traditionally they are used to just protect your livestock, like your goat, your sheep, or whatever. They go inside the barn, right? That's what they are used for. But now they have multi purposes. Now you can use them to store your hay, you can use them to store your grain, you can use them to store other feeds. Okay, you can even put your machinery, store your machinery inside. A barn is more or less like a house. Typically that's what it is, but it's more like a house built on the farm, which you can use for almost all purposes. Okay, now what is the next storage facility? The next storage facility we are going to be talking about is what we call cribs. Okay, cribs. Cribs are a type of storage structure often made of wood and wire mesh. They are made of wood and what? Wire mesh. They are in such a way that aeration, they are designed in such a way that aeration can take place. They are designed in such a way that aeration can take place. Okay, they are used for drying and storing grains that are still on the cob, such as maize. The raised floor and wire sides allow for air circulation to aid in drying. Okay, so the cribs are mostly used to store products like maize that are still with their cob and allows ventilation to take place. The next storage facilities are what we call rhomboses. Rhomboses, okay, rhomboses. I hope you're taking notes. Okay, rhomboses. So this is a rhombus. A rhombus is a traditional type of grain storage common in northern Nigeria. It is made from mud with a raised platform and a thatched roof. They are used for storing grains like maize, millet, and sorghum. So this is an example of a rhombus, mostly found in Nigeria, mostly found in northern Nigeria. Okay. Now, what's the next storage facility? This one is very common. It's called a cold room. A cold room. A cold room. Most people don't know that a cold room is also a storage facility and a storage building on the farm. As the name implies, they are insulated structures used to store perishable products like fruits, vegetables, and flowers at a controlled temperature to reduce post-harvest losses. Okay, so all of these storage structures, silos, barns, cribs, rhombuses, and cold room, they are all under the storage structures. All these farm structures are under the word storage structures.
The next structures are going to be under the category of livestock structures. Okay, just like the name implies, livestock structures are buildings that provide shelter, safety, and a controlled environment for farm animals. The first farm structure under the livestock structures are what we call barns. We have talked about this earlier on the video. Okay, barns are often used to house livestock like cattle and horses, protecting them from harsh weather and providing a space for feeding and milking. That's the function of barns. The next one are what we call coops and brooder houses. Coops and brooder houses. I'm gonna diversify this. I'm gonna explain the coops separately and the brooder houses because they are different slightly. The chicken coops are enclosures for chickens. They help in protecting the chickens from predators and also providing a safe environment or a safe place for them to lay eggs. That's what chicken coops do in general. Then brooder houses are specially designed, often heated. They are specially designed, often heated enclosures for raising young poultry or livestock. Okay, they are often heated because most young livestock and young poultry they demand a warm environment. So that's what the brooder houses are especially designed for. The next one is what we call staples. Staples are structures specifically designed for housing horses. They provide shelter from the elements and a place for feeding and rest. Okay, that's what staples do. The next structure under these livestock structures are hutches and pens. Hutches are small enclosures used for housing rabbits. Pens are fenced areas used to confine various animals like goats, sheep, and pigs. The next one are what we call cages, often used in large-scale poultry farming. Battery cages are a type of cage system used for housing egg-laying hens. Okay, that is what you use cages for. So we are done with talking about the livestock structures. The next structures are what we call production structures. These are designed to modify the environment for growing specific crops or raising animals. The first structure under this production structure is what we call greenhouses or screen houses. Greenhouses or screen houses are enclosed structures typically made of glass or plastic that provide a controlled environment for growing plants. They regulate temperature, humidity, and light, allowing for year-round cultivation and protecting crops for pests. So these ones are common for people who are into a large plant farming. You may have come across this. They are often made of plastic or glass, often transparent. Okay, they are used to create a controlled environment to raise your plants. That's what greenhouses and screen houses do. Okay, now the next one I will call paddocks. Paddocks. Paddocks are fenced areas of pasture where livestock are kept and allowed to graze. This practice, known as paddock grazing, helps to manage the pasture land and prevent overgrazing. Okay, that's what it does. Now the next structures are what we call what nurseries. I hope you're documenting. Nurseries are structures used for raising seedlings before they are transplanted to the main field. Okay, before they are transplanted to the main field. They allow for intensive management of young plants to ensure healthy growth. So that's what nurseries are used for. The next structure under these production structures are what we call fish ponds. They are just normal ponds. They are man-made ponds or enclosures used for the controlled rearing of fish for those that are into fish farming. And that leads us to the final category we are going to be discussing on this video, and that is utility and processing structures. Now, utility and processing structures, these structures support the overall operations of the farm. The first one is what we call a farmhouse. What is a farmhouse? This is the main residential building for the farm owner, for the family or workers. It provides living quarters and a base for managing farm operations. Okay, a farmhouse is also a farm structure. It is also a what farm structure. The next one I will call equipment sheds. Equipment sheds. Equipment sheds. Equipment sheds. These are essential buildings used to store expensive farm machinery, tools, and supplies, protecting them from weather and theft. Most farm pro- um, most farm equipment demand a shed, especially knowing how expensive these materials come in. They don't want to expose them to direct sunlight or direct rainfall, so they don't rust and they don't get damaged. So where do you store them is what we call the equipment sheds. The next one is feed mills. Feed mills. Feed mills are buildings or facilities where animal feed is processed and prepared, often on large scale livestock farms. These are what we call feed mills. And finally, we have the processing sheds. The processing sheds are structures built to house machines and provide a working environment for processing crops or other farm products, such as an oil palm press or a rice mill. So, guys, I'm gonna give you one bonus farm structure, and that is fences. Fences. Why not a building? Fences are critical protective structures used to confine farm animals to a specific area and to protect crops from being eaten by animals. Okay. So, in summary of this video, I led you through farm structures, building, and their uses, and we categorize them into storage structures, livestock structures, production structures, utility and processing structures. Okay. Under the storage structures, I led you through a whole lot of the storage structures, and let me know what mention one storage structure. Okay, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to mention one storage structure. Okay, let's see if you've been following. Okay, fine. I'm gonna now tell you. One is silos, barns, cribs, rhombuses, cold rooms, and cold storages. We also talked about livestock structures, talked about barns, coops and brooder houses, staples, hutches and pens, cages. Then we talked about production structures. We talked about greenhouses, paddocks, nurseries, and fish ponds. Then we finally talked about utility and processing structures. We talked about farmhouse, equipment sheds, feed mills, processing sheds, and fences. I hope this video was very educative. I really enjoyed the class. If you like this video and want to learn more about things like this, subscribe to the channel. In this channel, I spread knowledge essentially on all things you need to be informed about. Okay, so if you like it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think. Peace and God bless.